Good morning and welcome to the 2016 Newport Regatta. This is the 51st annual event. This morning we have beautiful weather here in Newport Beach. The rain was coming down and the wind was blowing last night, but everything is cleared out for this morning and we're going to have wonderful weather for the racing. We have 9 crews joining us this morning. Participants today will be USC, UCLA, Long Beach State, UCI, UCSB, USD, Chapman, San Diego State, and of course, Orange Coast College. Today, USC is bringing a varsity 8 and a novice 8. UCLA will bring the same boats, also a varsity 8 and a novice 8. Long Beach State will be entered in the 3V and Open 8, the Varsity 4, the Novice 8. UCI is entering boats in both the Varsity and second Varsity 8, the Varsity 4, and all of the Novice events. So that will be the Novice 8, the second Novice 8, and the Novice 4. I already said UCI. UC Santa Barbara will be entered in the Varsity 8. They have 2 entries in the second Varsity 8. The third Varsity / Open 8 will also have a Santa Barbara entry. The Varsity 4 and all the novice events, Novice A, second Novice 8, and Novice 4, so they are entered in every event. USD has brought a Varsity 8, a second Varsity 8, and a Varsity 4, so they've brought their varsity program here this morning. Chapman, our neighbors, have brought a Varsity 4. San Diego State has brought a first and second varsity, a Varsity 4, and all of the novice events, so they have a Novice 8, second Novice 8, and Novice 4. Coast will be entered in the Varsity 8, the Varsity 4, the Novice 8, second Novice 8, and the Novice 4. So we have a full slate of racing this morning. Racing will start at 7:30 with the third Varsity / Open 8. There will be 2 entries in that event, the Long Beach and UC Santa Barbara boats. Orange Coast is led by Cam Brown. He's in his first year coaching at OCC. Before coming to OCC, he started coaching in Queensland. He coached there from 1998 to 2007. He then moved to Oklahoma City, where he coached the Oklahoma City University program and also led the National High Performance Center there in Oklahoma City. He got his bachelor's in human movement and his master's in sports coaching. He will actually be joining us for an interview after the first race, so we look forward to hearing directly from him what he wants to see today and how he's enjoying Newport Beach. The broadcast today, we are actually running 7 cameras. We'll have the booth camera, which you see now. We have a chase camera, which will be following the races from the start of the race till about the boathouse here, which is just past the 1,000-meter mark. We have a camera on the balcony here at the Coast Boathouse. We'll switch to that when we start to lose signal from our chase camera, and that will cover us through the next couple hundred of meters. And we also have a camera on the finish boat, which will take us home and give us a nice look right down the line. The additional cameras are crowd cameras that we have. One will take a look at the apron, one will watch the docks for us. And we also have a mobile camera, which will be following the other member of our broadcast team, Whitney Powell, as she gets reaction from the crowd and does some interviews for us. We have to say a huge thank you to Brandon Grams for working out all the technical issues with this. Anything that we are able to send out is thanks to his hard work. Our broadcast schedule, we've already started. Racing will get going in about 5 minutes, and we'll run at 15 minutes centers after that. We expect the last race to start at 9 o'clock, and after that, we will have awards at 9:45. The schedule today, 7:30 a.m., we'll have our 3V and slash open 8 event. 7:45, we will have the novice 4. 8 o'clock will be the second novice 8. 8:15, the novice 8. 8:30, the second varsity 8. 8:45, the varsity 4. And at 9 o'clock, the last race of the day will be the varsity 8. We hope you'll stay with us through the entire day of racing. In addition to the individual races, the teams will also be contesting a team's trophy. The points for that are as follows. First place will receive 6 points. Second place will receive 4 points. Third place, 3 points. Fourth place, 2 points. And fifth place, 1 point. In the event that a team has more than one entry in the event, which we'll only have happen once today, with UC Santa Barbara having 2 entries in the second varsity 8, they will only receive points towards the points trophy from the highest placed boat. The third varsity slash open event will be excluded from the points competition, and in the event of a tie, the varsity 8 results will act as the tiebreaker. This morning, crews will be launching 4 different locations. Here at the Coast Boathouse, Coast, UCLA, and Long Beach are all based this morning. The other locations are Newport Aquatic Center, UCI, and Chapman. Out of the Newport Aquatic Center this morning, UC Santa Barbara and USC, and out of UCI, the UCI crew, along with the University of San Diego. Chapman will launch from next door at their own boathouse. I've been informed that our chase boat has had some mechanical difficulties. It may delay the start of racing briefly. I will, of course, keep you informed as I get more information. Thank you for bearing with us as anybody walks in front of our camera. We've actually taken over the coach's office this morning. They've been gracious enough to allow us to use it. But of course, it is still somewhat of a high traffic area. So if there are any abrupt camera cuts or someone walks in front of the camera, that is the reason why. I'm waiting for an update on how the mechanical issues are progressing. As soon as I have an update on when racing is to expect racing to start, I will keep you informed. While we wait for the crews to get situated and all the boats to figure out their mechanical issues, let's go ahead and set up the race course for the day. As you can see on your monitors here, the camera pointed toward the end of Lido Island. The lanes are numbered starting with a lane 0, and that will be on the Lido Island side. They count up from there 0 through 7 as you approach. So the higher the number, the closer they are to the boathouse side. Now we're going to switch your perspective as we come down the course. With the chase camera, the lower numbers will be closer to the camera and the higher numbers will be further away. As we come to the boathouse camera, the higher numbers will be closer, and then the finish line perspective will have be on the same side as the chase camera. It looks like we have started racing, and the 3V Open 8 event is approaching the boathouse. We unfortunately do not have race audio for this, as Jim Jorgensen, who will be handling our announcing, is on the boat experiencing mechanical issues. We'll pick up the racing as it comes by the boathouse and follow it down to the finish. The two entries in this event are Cal State Long Beach in lane 3 and UC Santa Barbara in lane 4. Looks like we've had some steering issues. That would be Long Beach State closer to the camera reviewing now, and Santa Barbara along the far side. while we work on getting all the issues figured out, I'd like to introduce the other member of our broadcast team this morning, Whitney Powell, Coast alum from 2007. Is that correct?
2006.
2006. My apologies. You don't look it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, we had the third varsity Open 8 go by. The rest of the racing will be coming down, as is wont to happen. Everything that can go wrong on race day does happen to go wrong. I see some boats heading up to the start. So, one moment, sorry.
All right, we have the start, second race of the morning. The men's novice 4, lane 2, Orange Coast College, lane 3, UC Santa Barbara, lane 4, San Diego State. We currently sit at about 400 meters down. Early race leader appears to be Santa Barbara in lane 3. They're racing for the Frank Marsalis Cup. We have a very close race here between UC Santa Barbara and Orange Coast College. Crews are now coming up level with my launch. A very good race. Bow ball to bow ball. It's Orange Coast College. your race leader by a half a boat over UC Santa Barbara. Orange Coast, white boat, white blades with orange tips. Santa Barbara, traditional blue and gold. San Diego State is well off the pace. In fact, they just caught a crab. The three-men caught a crab and they stopped the boat. 500 meters gone. Orange Coast now has one boat length. Their stern is even with the bow of the Santa Barbara crew. Santa Barbara coxswain calling for a power 10, and they are starting to bite back into the leader's lead. Move back about 15 feet. Coach coxswain now wants some more energy from their crew, and now they move back up to one boat length exactly. So once again, men's novice 4, your race leader in lane 2, Pirates from Orange Coast College. Second position, exactly one boat length astern, UC Santa Barbara. And then open water by about 10 lengths to that third position for San Diego State. A little bit of a crab from the stroke of the Santa Barbara crew. Cost them about 6-8 feet. As the crews now approach the 1,000-meter mark, halfway. I could hear the Orange Coast coxswain calling for a power move here. Trying to break that Santa Barbara crew, but they're not going away. They're about 3 seats of open water astern. Get a stroke check here. The Orange Coast crew is at 32.5 strokes per minute. Santa Barbara a bit higher. Santa Barbara rowing 35. So historically, if you can row lower and stay even, you don't expend as much energy. Coming down in front of the boathouse, Orange Coast College on the lead. A little bit of open water, but Santa Barbara is game. They're trying to push back, putting some pressure on the lead crew. Quite a sight as we pass in front of the David A. Grant Intercollegiate Rowing Center with Orange Coast College, your race leader, by one length over UC Santa Barbara, and San Diego State is in that third position. Critical 500 right now. This is where many races are won or lost. Cox and the Santa Barbara crew in the bow loader set up, looked over, and they've closed it to almost bow to stern. Once again, if you can keep that pressure on, you're hoping that the lead crew might falter a bit and you'll be able to go by them. Orange Coast coxswain now calls for a power move as well as we approach the 1,500 meters. 3/4 of the way down the course. Orange Coast College, your race leader, by 3 seats over UC Santa Barbara. San Diego State is in that third position. Okay, we're passing the 1,500 meter mark right now, and the boats relatively have the exact same speed. Oh, 2 men in the Santa Barbara boat just took an air stroke. Cost them about 10 feet. There's scrappers though. Oh, full crab on both oarsmen on the port side, which has allowed the coast crew to get a boat length of open water. Can hear the Orange Coast coxswain demanding more of her crew. 33 strokes per minute. Passing by Joe's Crab Shack with Orange Coast College. 1.5 boat lengths of open water ahead of UC Santa Barbara. And San Diego State is just now past the 1500 meter mark. Flag is up at the finish line. About 30 strokes from the finish. Santa Barbara tends to scratch and claw trying to close that gap, but Orange Coast is rowing lower and still maintains a boat length of open water advantage. The flag is up at the finish line. Go ahead and start turning around. And across the line first is Orange Coast College. Second position, UC Santa Barbara. The third spot is owned by San Diego State. Unofficial results, or that's the correct order of finish for the men's novice 4, the Frank Marcellus Cup.
Once again, unofficially, that was Coast, followed by UC Santa Barbara, with San Diego State finishing out the field. Obviously, we are using audio only from about the boathouse down to the finish. We'll have to follow the races that way, as is always the case with broadcasts. One little thing moves, and we'll have to go with what we have. Joining me now is Whitney Powell again. Whitney, what did you think of the first race?
Well, it was really interesting to see the novice 4s row. What do you think about skills as a novice rowing from a 4 to an 8? Do you think there's any difference there in what the rowers need to actually do or pay attention to? Or what do you think? Because we did have a few crabs.
It is. It's definitely a little bit more technical boat than the 8. It's still considered a big boat in the grand scheme of rowing. But you'll definitely see any technical deficiencies. It punishes them a little bit more. The other issue we may have with those, and we'd have to go back and check the other entries, but usually the glory boats, the novice 8, the second novice 8, they're going to get the most skilled oarsmen. So as we go down to the second novice 8 and the varsity 4, depending on where they've put their oarsmen, you could get true novices who have less experience. You may not have any high school rowing experience. So they may be only a few months into their rowing career. So to have that on top of a boat that punishes mistakes a little bit more could explain why we saw some of the crabs even with the nice weather we have.
Now, I can tell you, too, that as a coxswain, the 4s are much more sensitive in their steering as well. So even a little touch on the rudder from that coxswain can really offset the boat and make it tough for those rowers. So, whether they're putting their feet down at the same time or the coxswain is steered that little credit card of a rudder, all those things can make a difference. So it's always a bummer to see some crabs out there with the novices. So it's tough to recover from that.
It is. You also made an interesting point. Switch to talking about coxswains a little bit. The 4s that we saw go by just now had the coxswains lying down in the bow of the boat, and as we'll see with the 8s as they go by, the coxswain is sitting upright in the stern. Why is that?
Well, there's two different types of boats. In the 4s, we call them bow loaders. So the coxswain does actually lie down and steer with a little stick, typically. They are considered to be a little bit lighter, and those are also the boats that are used at the national level and the international level. The stern-loaded 4s are a little bit older models. They are still made, but I think those bow loaders where the coxswain lies down in there and gets those splashes to the face are kind of the competitive 4s. So
That's true. You don't often see a coxswain come back from a trip in a bow loader dry. We do have, as we saw the 4s go down, we do have to send a huge thank you out to Randy Nickel. He donated the 2 4s for Coast that you see rowing today. There was a very nice ceremony at Alumni Day just a couple weeks ago. The replay of that event is available at the Rowing Channel. website, which we'll put up on the screen in a little bit. The other interesting point that I may know, but I don't think a lot of people realize, is even with the 4s being as large as they are and 8s being 60 feet long, the rudder is about the size of a credit card. How do you get them to turn at all?
Well, in the 4s, they are pretty sensitive. So there is that little stick that you just kind of turn one way or another, and then that little tiny credit card underneath the boat turns with it. But as a coxswain, you really don't want to be touching that rudder. You actually want to use the power of the rowers. So whether you need to have your ports power up, your starboards power up, you do want to try to keep that even with the power of the oarsmen, not by touching the rudder, because as I mentioned before, that also offsets the boat. And if you steer off course at all, that adds feet or meters to the course. And as a coxswain, we want to keep those rowers rowing the fewest strokes possible at all times. So that's always something to consider. Another thing is, as you start building to the end of a race in a 4, you kind of have to pick it up a little bit earlier and kind of keep those oarsmen rowing really, really sharply. It's very easy to get tired and have those boats start to get offset a little bit. So you do have to kind of keep those oarsmen, again, keeping that even power and that long drive all the way through to the finish of the race, and again, hope that we don't get any crabs.
I can tell you that every single additional meter that results from a winding course is felt by the oarsmen. It's a very, very appreciated when we only have to go 2,000 meters. I assure you that is plenty far enough. I hear some chatter on the radios going. It sounds like they're getting lined up for the next event. The next event will be the second Novice 8, the Norman E. Watson Cup. There will be 3 entries in this event. There will be UC Santa Barbara, Orange Coast College, and San Diego State University. Lane assignments: Lane 2 will be UC Santa Barbara, Lane 3, Orange Coast College, and Lane 4, San Diego State. So as we start with the coverage with the chase cam, San Diego State will be closest to the camera. UC Santa Barbara will be furthest away. We'll send you now to Jim Jorgensen for race commentary.
Lane 3, Orange Coast College. Lane 4, San Diego State.
Hold water, Orange Coast. Hold water, San Diego.
You can hear the aligner behind me.
One light stroke.
When the boats are aligned, he'll raise his flag, and it goes to the starter, who's in a boat astern.
Yeah. Yes.
This is USC.
USC, bring it up. One light stroke.
It's come to our attention that Santa Barbara is not in lane 2, but rather USC. So once again, the lane assignments are lane 2, that's on the Lido Island side, University of Southern California.
Hold water.
Lane 3, Orange Coast College.
Down.
And lane 4, San Diego State.
What? Hit light. He says 1 stroke.
San Diego. One light stroke.
This could be a...
San Diego, hold water.
As much as I can.
Orange Coast. Back one. Light stroke. San Diego.
Once again, I'm right next to the...
Back it down because they're right against the yellow buoy.
Okay, the starter is telling them to back the boats down.
Thank you. Back it down. San Diego. And get your boat aligned.
A little tricky with this incoming tide. The boat over in lane 4, which is actually in the position of lane number 7,
1/2 stroke.
is much too close to the highway side. And because of that, with the current, it pushes them towards the dock.
Bring it up.
So if there are coxswains still on shore, make sure you're more towards the Lido Island side of the course than the highway side of the course. You can see the San Diego State coxswain is having their starboard oarsman turn the bow towards us on the Lido side. Once again, these are novices, so this is, for many of them, their very first race.
Orange coast. Bring it up. Orange coast, tap it lightly. Watch the point coast. USC, back it down. A light stroke. Hold water.
We're getting close, as the pictures are telling you. For those of you that have not watched a rowing race, basically you start from a dead stop position. There are usually some fraction strokes. Here we go. So we have a start of the second Novice 8 race. USC is in lane 2. Orange Coast College bolting out of the start in lane 3, and San Diego State in lane 4. As I was saying earlier, you go from a dead stop, some fraction strokes, some high racing start strokes, and then you make a shift to your race pace. Right now, your early race leader is Orange Coast College, almost 1 full boat length ahead of San Diego State. USC is falling astern. They're now open water in that 3rd spot. Orange Coast College now with a bit of open water as we approach the 500-meter mark. Orange Coast now at 35 strokes per minute as the headwind fills in. They have a half a boat length of open water over San Diego State, and SC Trails in that 3rd position. You might even have to go next to the docks. I know. Just on the other side of the boats coming this way. 500 meters gone. The Pirates from Orange Coast College are race leader by a boat length of open water. San Diego State is in that 2nd spot. And then it's the University of Southern California in 3rd. When you open a lead like this, the game is to see how much run you can get per stroke and see how fast you can go over the course. Orange Coast now with a 3 boat length open water advantage over San Diego State in that 2nd position, and USC 2 or 3 boat lengths of open water in that 3rd spot. 750 meters gone. Right now, Orange Coast is dominating the 2nd Novice 8 race, the Normandy Watson Cup. Orange Coast not taking their foot off the gas, still striking the water at 35 strokes per minute. Wanting to see how fast they can get down this race course. Halfway, 1,000 meters gone. Your race leader, Orange Coast College. By 4 boat lengths of open water to San Diego State, who is 2 boat lengths of open water ahead of USC. Coming out in front of the rowing and sailing base, your race leader, Orange Coast College. Still striking the water at 35.5 strokes per minute. Beautiful sight as we pass in front of the boathouse area. Orange Coast continues to increase its lead over San Diego State, who continues to increase their lead over USC. You see the stand-up paddler?
Yeah.
Orange Coast now with a substantial margin is getting more run per stroke as they take the rate down to about 34 strokes per minute. Orange Coast now approaches the 1,500 meter mark, 500 meters to go. Rowing comfortably, although the oarsmen wouldn't argue that point. They're pushing their legs down, leveraging that boat ahead, seeing how fast they can get to the finish line. Orange Coast has passed the 1,500 meter mark. Once again with about a 5 or 6 boat length open water advantage over San Diego State, who has a 2 open water advantage over USC. We're right up against Lido Island. I can hear the Orange Coast coxswain calling for more as they approach 300 meters to go. Barring any major calamity, Orange Coast College should win this race going away. San Diego State will hold down that second spot, and USC owns that third position. The finish line flag is up as we're within 20 strokes from the finish. Once again, this is the second men's novice 8, the Normandy Watson Cup. And the first boat across will be Orange Coast College. Second position will be San Diego State, and third will be USC.
Unofficially, another victory for Coast this morning. Their novices are off to a great start. Results are available at clockcaster.com/e/1, which you see on the screen now. The results are coming in from the finish line, being input there. We should get very quick response time to those. So, second race down. That one, you could see a little bit. You mentioned, or Jim Jorgensen mentioned, them rowing into the headwind a little bit. And we have a following tide. How big a role do the conditions on the day play in both the speed of the race, and do they force the oarsmen to make any adjustments?
Yeah, actually, it's really interesting that you say that because we did hear Jim talking about a little headwind coming in, which actually looks like it's getting a little bit stronger. Taking a look at these flags out here. The oarsmen definitely need to make an adjustment. I think as you go down the course, you'll notice, I don't know, maybe you'll hear the rowers talking about rush, which is getting pushed into the stern of that boat. So when you start to get all of those oarsmen shoved into the stern of that boat over and over and over again from the wind, you get rush and you get stoppage in the boat speed. So what we need to do is really control that rush, and that's a coxswain's call. Slowing down that recovery time a little bit and adding a little bit more power and a little bit more layback, a little bit more swing into the back end, into the bow, into that headwind. So we actually lean into the wind just a little bit more. So you can probably feel that as an oarsman too.
Yes, nobody likes a headwind. No one likes to be out on the course any longer. Everybody wants a tailwind. It brings its own set of issues, but you're willing to deal with about any issue in terms of weather as long as it gets you down the course a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's really true. And you also have to make some adjustments with the oars, I think. And you probably have heard coxswains make these calls as well. A lot of times we will try to actually square up just a little bit later. So when you square up early, like some of these crews tend to do, you catch the wind like a sail. So you actually don't want to do that. So you want to hold that feather just a little bit longer till you can get a nice quick catch in there so you can keep your rhythm moving and keep the boat speed going forward. So I'm sure you can feel that also as an oarsman when you square up a little bit too early and you kind of get that pushback, you get shoved from that headwind a little bit.
And to anybody new to the sport of rowing, when Whitney says square and feather, she's referring to the position of the oar blade. On what's called the collar, which is a plastic piece that fits into the rigger, there are two flat surfaces. One which will carry the blade parallel to the water, and we call that the feather. And when you rotate it, it comes perpendicular to the water. That's the square. Obviously, you want the blade to be squared before it goes in the water, or the result is a crab, which we've already seen a couple of today. And a crab, for a further explanation, when your blade gets caught in the water and starts to pull it back, those are crabs. You see anything from a minor crab, which is just skipping along the top of the water and just disrupting your rhythm. A full boat stopping crab will have the blade get caught in the water and actually pulled out of the oarsman's hands and will end up parallel to the shell, which is not where you want it to be. And rarely you will also see the ejector crab. I hope we do not see any of those today, but an ejector crab will result in the oarsman leaving his seat and going for a swim.
And we've all seen that, David. Hate to see that.
Yeah, it's something you hope you can laugh about later, but no one wants to see it when it happens. So the tide. We do not have a large tide here, but it is coming in. How will that affect it?
Well, it really depends on what direction it's going. It can either help you or hurt you, and it's really not a huge deal one way or another. It might affect the race by a few seconds or so, but it's really more on the coxswain. The coxswain really has to just be aware of where it is because it really affects your steering. And of course, if your steering is off, as we've mentioned before, then your course is off and you're rowing more than 2,000 meters. And rowers do not like that. So the coxswains just have to be aware and maintain a straight point down the course. And if you can manage to do that and steer them straight down, give the rowers 2,000 meters, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem because it's pretty much going to affect everybody in the race. So your race may be a little bit slower or a little bit faster than you would typically row a 2K, but pretty much everybody is affected. So it's rare that you're on courses where one lane or two lanes are only affected by the tide.
Sure. The conditions can play a huge role in the race results and times. It's part of what makes it so difficult to compare times across different events. We had, at some points, torrential rain last night and howling winds, so we're glad it's settled down to just a light headwind this morning. In your opinion, as a coxswain, and having coxed several crews over the years, rowed in almost every condition imaginable, what single weather condition will affect the race the most?
Oh gosh, I think the wind. I think the wind. If you get like a crosswind, it's kind of a pain. You know, you feel really bad for your starboards or ports, whatever side it's coming from, where they have to power up a little bit. Rain can be a problem because it can bring a lot of debris. So sometimes out here in Newport, we have had full trees coming down the course, logs, and as a coxswain, when you're very low to the water, and with the oarsmen too, you can't see them because they're submerged. So if you run over a log or a tree or a goose or whatever's in the water, then you've got a problem, and you're correcting your steering, you're hitting things. You know, it's a mess. So I would say the most typical difficulty is the wind, and we get that all the time here in Newport. So coxswains get really, really good, or they should get really good at managing. And that's all in course correction. And again, asking for that even power from your oarsmen. So that's really on a coxswain.
I absolutely agree. Getting wet, having the tide against you, all of these things can add to the discomfort of a race. But what really can mess with your technique and your stroke is the wind. As you continue to follow the crews through the year, and we get to the San Diego Crew Classic, which is coming up soon, a couple of weeks? 3 weeks now. That course is notorious for being difficult on oarsmen with wind. It actually will focus the wind on certain points of the race course as it comes through bridges, and you can see boats get moved and their points change abruptly, and that can be really disconcerting as you're in the boat.
So as a rower, when you know that there's that much wind, what helps kind of ease your discomfort and your concern as a rower? Like what can a coxswain tell you, or what do you like to hear when there's that much wind? What kinds of corrections do you feel comfortable making going down a course?
The biggest thing, staying comfortable in those conditions, is just to be kept informed. If there's going to be a big crosswind hit and you know it's coming, we'll pick this conversation up after the next race. We'll go to Jim Jorgensen now for race commentary. As we wait for the race commentary, we'll go ahead and set the lanes here. There are 6 entries in the Novice 8 event, the Larry B. Moore Cup. Lane 1, UCLA. Lane 2, UC Santa Barbara. Lane 3, USC. Lane 4, Orange Coast College. Lane 5, San Diego State. Lane 6, Cal State Long Beach. So again, perspective from the chase camera, which we have up now. Cal State Long Beach will be closest, working back to UCLA along the shoreline on the far side. We expect that Jim Jorgensen will cut in on this at any
All water.
We're now at the start. Starting line for the novice men's 8 race, the Larry M. Moore Cup. Lane assignments. Lane 1, UCLA. Lane 2, UC Santa Barbara. Lane 3, USC. Lane 4, Orange Coast College. Lane 5, San Diego State. Lane 6, Long Beach State. Right now it appears that USC is a no-show for this race, so lane 3 is empty or vacant. The aligner is right astern of us. She's raised her white flag. Step on.
Debbie, San Diego and Orange Coast are too close together. We got to back down.
All right.
All right, the starter, John Walker, says that the two crews in lane 4 and 5 have overlapping oars, so we're going to have to back it down and line it up. This headwind's come up, and with an incoming tide and a cross headwind, without stake boats, it's really difficult to align 6, in this case 5 boats. The varsity is going to be real tricky. The great thing there is they have experienced coxswains. But what the coxswains need to do is, if you're in lane 1 or 2, be as close to Lido Island as possible. When the crews race at San Diego or at the championships, they have what's called a stake boat or a stake platform, where somebody will hold onto their stern and actually sight down a line, and they are exactly on the starting line.
Back it down. Debbie, they're in the next race. Don't worry about them. I got them.
Thank you. Because we are supposed to have 6, and I just have 5.
We're missing USC in lane 3.
Let's go with 5.
Thank you. UCLA, Santa Barbara, touch it up.
All right. The aligners bringing the crews up to the starting line.
Something Long Beach, touch it up.
Getting close. Once again, the men's novice 8, the Larry M. Moore Cup.
I have an alignment.
We are aligned. UCLA is in lane 1, UC Santa Barbara in 2, lane 3 is scratched, Orange Coast in 4, San Diego State in 5, and we're off. All crews cleanly away at the start. Orange Coast, UCLA have a little bit better advantage than the other crews, although Santa Barbara is right there as well. We're going to move up even with the bows, but Orange Coast College, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara are all overlapped. And also in that far lane, everybody's overlapped. This is a good boat race. But your race leader, as the crews make their shift, is Orange Coast College by 3 seats over lane 1 UCLA, who has 3 seats on UC Santa Barbara, who has a half a boat length over over Long Beach State, excuse me, and San Diego State is in the 5th position. Move up to the bows. UCLA now calling for a move. They've moved themselves level with Orange Coast College. So quite a boat race as we approach the 500-meter mark. Orange Coast College with about a seat over UCLA. UC Santa Barbara's coxswain steering towards UCLA, almost having overlapping oars. But 500 meters down, great boat race. These men's novice 8. Orange Coast with a 3-seat advantage. The second position is UCLA. The third spot, 5 seats down in UCLA, is UC Santa Barbara. Then it's Long Beach State in 4th. And trailing crew is San Diego State. This UCLA coxswain's going to the whip here, knowing that you've got to put pressure if you want to stay in the race and not be broken. Very, very good effort here. Orange Coast still maintains a 3-seat advantage. Santa Barbara overlapped with UCLA in that 3rd spot. Then open water astern is Long Beach State. Your 5th place crew is San Diego State. Orange Coast now really making this big effort with a strong outside hand finish. Has now moved out 6 seats on UCLA. Coming up to the 1,000-meter mark, the halfway point, Orange Coast College, your leader, Santa Barbara, making a big move here, has come up level with UCLA. Orange Coast striking the water at 35 strokes per minute. Boy, the Gauchos have really put the pedal down. They now have a seat over UCLA. Open water in that 4th position is Long Beach State and San Diego State Trails. Santa Barbara's doing a magnificent effort of getting back in this boat race. Only 5 seats down now to Orange Coast College. So coming in front of the boathouse, your race leader, men's novice 8, Orange Coast College. I can see them taking a power 10. The bowman of the Santa Barbara crew, the 2nd place crew, is even with the coxswain of the Orange Coast crew. So great boat race. Any of these first 3 boats could win, but Orange Coast College still on the lead. Santa Barbara in the 2nd spot. UCLA falling off the pace a little bit now, is 1 length behind for that 3rd spot. Open water astern in 4th is Long Beach State, and in the 5th spot is San Diego State. Question of poise and power now as we're in this 3rd 500. Orange Coast College still has about a boat length now. Their coxswain looked over, saw the bow ball, and said, "Gentlemen, give me more." And they have. Orange Coast now, as we approach the 1,500-meter mark, is 1 full boat length. Nope, check that. Santa Barbara's coming back on them. There's still overlap between 1st and 2nd. UCLA now is open water in that 3rd spot. And then in the 4th and 5th is San Diego State is in the 5th spot, and Long Beach is in that 4th spot. Okay, let's just stick with the leaders now. Santa Barbara, very scrappy crew, rowing higher, having the same relative speed as Orange Coast as we approach 300 meters to go. Right now, Santa Barbara is exactly one boat length astern of Orange Coast. That 3rd spot is UCLA, 1 boat length of open. Orange Coast now, coxswain's calling for a power 10, and the rate's going up. Santa Barbara's taking their rate up. Orange Coast still maintains that 1 boat length lead as we're 30 strokes from the finish. Men's novice 8, the Larry M. Moore Cup. The flag is up at the finish line. And the Pirates from Orange Coast College are within 10 strokes from being first across the finish line. Santa Barbara just continues to plug along, trying to close that gap. But it's Orange Coast College, your race winner, crossing the line now, followed by UC Santa Barbara. Then it's going to be UCLA. Then Long Beach State That fifth spot will be San Diego State. Finish order for the men's novice 8.
So that was a really exciting race. It's always really fun to watch the novices because you either have guys that have zero experience and this truly could be their first actual 2K, or you have guys that are coming in with a few years experience from high school. So can you tell us a little bit about what makes a true novice?
Yeah, as Whitney mentioned, the novice designation in collegiate rowing simply means that it's their first year rowing in college. Any experience they may have beforehand is not factored into that. It is just their first year rowing in college. When I started rowing here at Coast, I was what we've been calling a true novice, meaning I had no previous rowing experience. My first day at Coast on the water was my first day with an oar in my hand. And it makes a huge difference. Everything's new. For any true novices on the Coast program today, this is their first ever 2K on the water. This is their first race. They've never experienced lining up before what can be excruciating discomfort as they approach the finish. But luckily for all of the Coast novices this morning, they've also gotten to experience the thrill of crossing the line first. But it does make a big difference, and I know you've coached high schoolers before. What do you do to prepare them for making the jump to the collegiate level?
Well, it's really different. We obviously try to get them some sort of decent 2K score so they can get a look at some of the colleges. But if they're coming to a place like this, it's really more work ethic and really being part of a legacy. We try to send any guys that we can from the high school level that aren't actually going on to those 4-year colleges to try to come here because we know that they're going to be shaped into very, very strong oarsmen. Coast has such a strong legacy that we know that this is really a good place for them, and the only community college that actually has a crew program. So it's really advantageous for them to come here and train with this type of reputation, and we really try to just prepare them to go in to work hard and be prepared to kind of be part of that legacy rather than just give them like a certain time or a certain skill. You know, we want them to go in as very strong oarsmen so they can try to get into those top boats if possible, but there's no specific time or 2K or anything that they need to get to actually, quote, qualify to get in here. So they just need to be ready to really be part of a strong program and work hard to help maintain it.
And of course, when Whitney mentions 2K scores here, what she's referring to are ergometer times. The rowing ergometer is a machine used to basically control the variables and just measure the power output of the oarsmen. With the 2K score, then oarsmen, rowing coaches usually use the time designation, so they see how long it takes them to cover 2,000 meters on the rowing machine, and that gives an indication of how much power they have and how much power they're able to put through to the boat.
And the beauty of doing that as a novice is they actually don't know any better. So you can put a novice on an erg and have them pull a 2K, and maybe they're pulling a 620, and they have no idea that that's actually really fast. So it's kind of neat to work with those novices, and the beauty of working with those novices is that you give them that baseline and you kind of bring them in whether they have experience or not, and you sit them down on an erg or put an oar in their hand, and they have no idea if they're actually pretty good, if they're picking up on it pretty quickly, if they're terrible. So you really have a lot to say as a coach and as a team to kind of mold them into the program and the boat that you want them to be. And I think Coast has been really, really phenomenal at doing that. And that's one of the beauties of being able to come in here to a community college team and being part of this legacy with phenomenal coaches and resources and talent.
It really is a great program here. I recall the Diamond Jubilee a few years ago celebrating the 60th anniversary of Coast. There were oarsmen from almost every year of the program's existence. And while, yes, everybody had stories about races they enjoyed, successes, failures, the athletic endeavors, what stuck with me were all the stories that you heard about how when they came here, they felt like they grew up again. Okay. And with that in mind, we'll kick it back to Jim Jorgensen for the next race.
5, 7, 6, 7.
University of San Diego here in lane 1. Coxon is wanting them to extend a little bit more, close that gap. Santa Barbara B-Boat is in the 3rd position, and then it's San Diego State. I don't see an UC Irvine crew in this race, so they must have scratched. The Gaucho A crew, once again, your race leader. A little bit of open water now. University of San Diego with a 3/4 of a boat length advantage over 3rd place Santa Barbara B-Boat. And San Diego State is owning that 4th position, open water astern. Santa Barbara A-Boat going very smoothly now as we approach the 1,000-meter mark. Santa Barbara at 33 strokes per minute. You might be able to hear the coxswain from University of San Diego. Trying to close, get an overlap on that lead crew. Right now, Santa Barbara A is your race leader. University of San Diego is in 2nd. Santa Barbara B-Boat is in that 3rd spot, and San Diego State in 4th. You can see them as they come in front of the boathouse. Gaucho's rowing very comfortably on the lead. The USD crew keeping the same relative speed to the Santa Barbara A-Boat, but now the A-Boat puts the pedal down a little bit harder, opens up a little bit more open water. We'll turn early so we can. Santa Barbara A-Boat still your race leader as they approach the 1,500 meter mark. University of San Diego has ownership of that 2nd spot. Santa Barbara B-Boat is in that 3rd position. We're going to go up to about 300 meters to go because I don't see any point of us going all the way up, and we're a little bit behind schedule in terms of us getting back to the start of the next race. So with 300 meters to go, by about 2 boat lengths of open water, it's UC Santa Barbara A, 2nd position, University of San Diego. 3rd spot will be University of California Santa Barbara B-Boat, and San Diego State has 4th. Barring any sort of catastrophe, that should be the order of finish. I'll turn it back over to you at the boathouse as we go back to the starting line.
I'm joined now in the booth by Andrew Hilton. I had the pleasure of rowing with him at Coast. He is a 2008 alumni. Andrew, fill everybody in. You rowed in high school at Coast and then moved on. Where all did you row?
So I did 3 years at Green Lake in Seattle. Came from the rainy Northwest. And I came down to Coast here, partially because I wanted to get into a California 4-year and get my in-state residency basically through Coast here. So
Yeah, that's great. We were talking before about kind of the difference between a true novice, a novice who has high school experience. Coast, obviously, there's just the 2 years here, so you have one novice year, one varsity year. And after Coast, you went down to UC San Diego. Your experience as an experienced high school oarsman coming into Coast, dealing with the environment here, and then going to San Diego, what was the difference in development you saw between a new oarsman coming into a 2-year and maybe someone who had 4 years of collegiate rowing experience at San Diego?
yeah, absolutely. There's definitely an attitude difference from the get-go. A lot of walk-ons will have no expectations of where talent lies and what is good versus what is bad. And I think it's important for initially to get some experienced oarsmen to get the walk-ons up to speed, and then the experienced oarsmen find pretty quickly that once the walk-ons are up to speed, they can just the experienced oarsmen will have to really up their game to keep up with them, because the walk-ons are going to be very eager to go ahead and put the experienced guys into the ground, show them what they can do. So it's cool. It's a great intra-squad competition between the two, and it ends up being a really cool rivalry that sort of fuels the crews later on. So
It's very true. The contrast between, as I mentioned in the last segment, I was true novice. I remember sitting next to my pair partner, Scott Smith, after my first 2K. He finished several seconds before I did. I finished. We both had exerted what we thought was a 2K worthy effort. We later learned better. Remember, we're sitting there. We looked at each other. I asked him what he got. He asked me what I got. Is that any good? We had no idea. So everything was definitely new to us. As we watched the racing today, obviously the novices had a very strong day for Coast. Santa Barbara with a strong showing there in the second varsity event. Tell me about one of the races you remember rowing at this boathouse, one of the Newport Regattas that you experienced.
Ooh, it's reaching back. No, I remember the Newport Regatta fondly. It was always a difficult race, and I think you'll remember my freshman year in, what was that? That would be 2007. That was a pretty difficult race, and kind of a phase for us. And I just remember it being tough because this is home water. We're expected to do well at our home regatta, and so there's almost the added pressure of having to perform on something that you do every day. I think they say that home water is worth a few seconds, in any given race. So it's not as relaxing as the sort of halcyonic kind of weather and water and the beautiful scenery of Newport Harbor would suggest. We're terrified when we get up there. So
I definitely can agree with that. While it may be an idyllic setting here in Newport Beach, sunshine, beautiful homes, beautiful yachts, beautiful water almost every single day, there is something that can be intimidating about seeing everybody lined up on the docks. So many people on the docks are years that they would actually begin to sink. Watching you, expecting you, you're carrying the banner for the Coast program there. The next event on the schedule, as I expect Jim Jorgensen will be cutting us off momentarily, is going to be the Varsity 4. As we set that up, there will be 6 entries. Lane 1, which will be closest to the chase camera as we pick up coverage, will be San Diego State University. Lane 2, University of San Diego. Lane 3, UC Santa Barbara. Lane 4 will be Orange Coast College. Lane 5, Cal State Long Beach. And Lane 6, Chapman with their lone entry today. So it will be a full field racing for that. And as we look out the windows here, and I'll catch this on one of the cameras, just at the top of the picture here, you can see the flags are picking up. We have flags for all of the participants today, and they're really starting to flap in the wind. So we'll see how that affects rowing. Now, obviously from Green Lake up in Pacific Northwest, rowed here, rowed in San Diego. What brings you back to Coast to watch the races? What is it about this program that makes you want to come back and support the new oarsmen?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, so much of rowing as a community relies on the support of the people that have come before. Certainly it's not one of the big three where money flows in and out through sponsorship deals and stuff like that. So I think, I don't want to say it's a responsibility. It's kind of a privilege to come and watch the future of the future oarsmen come through. It's something that I got out of for a while and I'm just getting back into, and it's thrilling, to come back and watch.
And I'm hearing in my headphones some chatter at the start line. We'll get you back up there momentarily. But as they're finalizing their preparations there, Andrew makes a great point. Rowing is not one of the big sponsorship sports. A vast majority of the crews that are participating have to come up with their own resources. While Coast is very well supported, we really appreciate any additional support that comes in. Sorry, I'm getting a cue from my producer here. We'll go to the racing now with Jim Jorgensen.
Santa Barbara's being warned to steer away from University of San Diego. Very good boat race. Orange Coast still with a slight advantage as we approach the 500-meter mark. Boats have made their transition into the race pace. Now it's rhythm over water. Santa Barbara now is making a bold move, moving ahead of Orange Coast. University of San Diego, relative same speed as the Gauchos, trying to close in on that second place Orange Coast crew. Fourth position is San Diego State. Then Long Beach State and Chapman University is in that final spot. 500 meters gone. As they come across right now, it's University of California, Santa Barbara, your leader, by a half a boat over Orange Coast College, who has 4 seats on the third place University of San Diego crew. Then it's open water back. A good boat race for fourth position between Long Beach State and San Diego State. Now it's time, Santa Barbara bobbles a little bit. Their stroke caught a little bit of a crab there. Move up a bit, Bob. Still, UC Santa Barbara, your race leader, Orange Coast, rowing higher, trying to get themselves back in. There's basically 2 races developing here. That for first between Santa Barbara, Orange Coast, and University of San Diego. And then for the 4th, 5th, and 6th position between San Diego State, Long Beach State, and Chapman. Orange Coast moving back on Santa Barbara. And now they are level. They are even. Orange Coast College, Santa Barbara, battling bow ball to bow ball. Now Santa Barbara ekes out a little bit. University of San Diego is not going away though. They're 4 seats down. Santa Barbara making a big move here at the 1,000-meter mark. Now has 4 seats on Orange Coast College. Orange Coast has 4 seats on the University of San Diego. And then it's open water for the next 3 crews, with Long Beach State being in that 4th position, San Diego State and Chapman University trailing. Boy, Santa Barbara put on a flurry there at 1,000 meters to move out a boat length. But still, a long way to the finish, with Orange Coast and University of San Diego being level for that second spot. University of California Santa Barbara, the race leader. One boat length. And now all those hills, all that time on the erg. What change goes off this third 500 to separate the men from the boys. Santa Barbara seems to be the men in this boat race, trying to squeeze some open water between themselves and Orange Coast. Orange Coast now separating themselves from University of San Diego a bit. And the three trailing crews are open water astern. But Santa Barbara now has about a quarter boat length of open water over Orange Coast for that lead position. Second place Orange Coast has exactly 4 seats on that third spot, University of San Diego. A real good boat race for fourth between the state schools, Long Beach and San Diego State. 1,500 meters gone. The Gauchos continue to increase their lead. Really nice swing to the boat, nice finish. They now have a boat length of open water. The race now will be for that second spot between Orange Coast College, who is still 4 seats up on University of San Diego. Once again for that fourth spot, a good race between Long Beach State, San Diego State. Chapman will finish in that sixth position, excuse me. 300 meters to go. Gauchos continue to increase their lead. University of San Diego trying to come back on Orange Coast. Orange Coast counter-attacking right now, taking that rate up, knowing if they want to get closer to the Gauchos, they've got to go now. Wind's picking up here a little bit at the finish. Strong headwind, but it's UC Santa Barbara by open water. The Coasties are really coming on strong though, trying to close some distance there. But Orange Coast comfortably having that second spot.
There's green.
University of San Diego owns the third spot. Long Beach State will be in the fourth, San Diego State fifth, and Chapman will be in that finals position.
Hey, you get really hot when you rowing. You might as well swim back.
Finish line. And University of California, Santa Barbara, the Gauchos will be crossing the line first. They're across the line now, followed by Orange Coast College, University of San Diego in third, Long Beach State appears to be in fourth, San Diego State in fifth, Chapman University in your sixth spot. That's the order of finish. The men's varsity forward, the Condon Johnson Cup. Back to you at the boathouse.
Another exciting race there in the Varsity 4. Congratulations to UC Santa Barbara with another strong showing. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to watch the finishing sprints due to some technical difficulties with our finish line camera. But Whitney, as a coxswain, what are you looking for from a crew in the last 500 meters as you get toward the finish?
A lot of push. Anything that they have left, it's time to empty the tank. So I don't know if, this is going to be different for every program, but there really is a formula for how the race is broken down and how it works. So you pretty much have your start, your settle, your body of the race, and then you really start to build into that sprint. And that could be anywhere from 300 or 250 to 500 meters before the finish, totally depending on where the other crews are in the race and how strongly you want to attack. So every crew is going to have a really different strategy, but you typically start to kind of build up that pressure and bring that rate up little by little by little until you really start charging into that finish line for a really exciting finish. So it's actually been really fun to see these crews try to overtake each other in a very, very small amount of water that's actually left right before the finish line. So those last 500 meters tend to be really, really exciting as those crews sit up just a little bit more. They try to get those blades in the water just a little bit more sharply, and that coxswain is just calling like a freight train, just calling for those last few pushes into that finish line, and you see crews really start to empty the tank.
It is an exciting part of the race. Jim Jorgensen bringing us the commentary, doing a good job of keeping us updated with what's going on, particularly when boats are close. It's nerve-wracking, exciting, terrifying, but the interesting thing as an oarsman is throughout the entire race, you're trying to be efficient, you're trying to conserve energy, you're thinking of your technique. All that goes out the window in a sprint. While it still matters, you're not thinking about it. All you care about is, are you moving? Are you getting an additional inch on the boat next to you? And so it really is a thrilling event to have a close finish in a rowing race.
And it's really hard as a coxswain too, because we can call for as much power and as much energy and as much fuel as we want, but if the rowers don't have it or they don't respond, then that's a whole nother story. So what do you think as a rower? You're already hurting, and going into that sprint that you're about ready to hurt a lot more. So what can a coxswain tell you, or what do you like to hear or feel as a rower going into those last 30 strokes or so?
I don't know that there's much a coxswain can say that's going to make it better. Down to the last 30 strokes, I'm down to a one stroke at a time mentality. All I'm thinking about is take one stroke, and you lie to yourself. You tell yourself it's only one more. So where you are, especially if you're making progress on a boat you're racing, that's always great to hear. And then the second best thing an oarsman can hear coming down a sprint is 10 to go, with the best thing, of course, being way enough.
Now, what do you think about hearing 10 strokes to go and it turns out to be 15?
You're not on my Christmas card list. That's about as polite a way as I can put that, I think. As we mentioned before, you feel every meter beyond 2,000. So if you're expecting a race to end at a certain stroke count, a couple strokes under that, you're okay with that. But if you're expecting 10 strokes, you start to get into 12, 15, or even 20. You've steeled yourself. You've gotten yourself ready to get rid of every last bit of effort you have in those 10 strokes. And then you're asked to continue to do more, which is, I'm sure I would be a terrible coxswain. I don't know how you could possibly judge that, having to look past 8 oarsmen, 60 feet of shell, and then judging it on an angle. But when you get that right, it really helps the oarsman out.
So what you're saying is that it's crucial to actually have a coxswain that's accurate and that really pays attention and kind of knows what they're doing. And you may not get that with a novice crew. It does take a lot of trial and error to learn that sort of thing. But coxing is very, very challenging, and a lot of rowers don't really understand that those are the kinds of challenges and the things that especially newer coxswains have to deal with. They have to learn how long one stroke is in the water, so they know how many strokes are actually left. So how important is it to you to have one of those coxswains that's really accurate and trustworthy? Like what difference in a race does that make to you?
It's a huge difference. It's probably the single largest difference that one person can make in the boat. With the effort of a 2K, the oarsmen, they cannot think for themselves. So you have to have someone in the back of the boat who can be the brain for 9 people. And they need to trust that person. They need to know that if they say you're at this point in the race, you're at that point in the race. If they tell you what you're doing is not enough and you need more, you need to know that there's a reason for that. You need to believe them. You need to know that they're not just asking for it because they're reading from a script. They're managing the race, and this is what they're telling you need to do to meet your goals. And if you understand and you know that they're telling you the truth there and you trust that, you'll do everything you can to answer their call, to answer their request.
Now, do you think that's something that you tend to see in the more mature crews? Because when you have a novice crew, everyone is still kind of thinking for themselves. So, like, what do I look like? Am I tapping down enough? Am I pressing in enough? Am I, whatever? Am I doing this or that? And they're more concerned about what they're doing. But what do you think about those more mature crews that just sit down, shut up, listen to the coxswain, and just execute their race plan?
Well, obviously you want the more mature crew, but it's the same problem you run into most team sports. An 8 is so much more than the sum of the 9 people in it. You cannot go win a race alone. You really have to develop that, and within the whole program there should be that level where you can get in the boat with anybody who's trained with you. You know the work they've put in. You should be able to get in the boat, know that the effort's going to be there, and just go take care of business. It's hard to do, though, because as you go down the course and you're listening, that there's so many external inputs. There's the boats next to you, there's the weather, you got splashed, you have a blister on your hand. There are so many distractions. It does take quite some time and quite a level of mental maturity and toughness just to block that out and take care of business. Do what you have to do. Take your strokes, be mindful of what you're being instructed to do, and not stopping your own thinking as much as you can, so that you handle your end, so you can contribute to the entire boat speed. And
going down a race course, what do you think a coxswain can help relieve from you? I mean, what can a coxswain do to, whether it's tone or how quickly they speak, how loudly they speak, how can they help you be distracted from those blisters and those outside, the shouting and the calling?
I don't know if distracted is the word I would use, but I always look for just someone who's in charge. The screaming works for some coxswains. A very controlled tone works for some coxswains. Very aggressive language can work for some. The personality of a crew and a boat can vary just as much as every individual in it. You may have one boat that responds extremely well to just the coxswain cracking the whip all the way down the course. You may have another crew that responds well to sudden changes in tone and volume, or one trigger word. You may have another crew that's spent all this time practicing together, and they've developed this response to one particular move. It's almost like an inside joke, only it's a call for a higher level of effort.
Now, speaking of coxswains using different tones and getting excited, I know for a fact that you have had a few races where you've had to sprint early. You've had to maybe go when you don't really want to, but your coxswain is making that call because you know that that's the win or the loss in a race. Are there any races that you can think of specifically where you had to maybe do something that you were like, oh, I really... like, please don't make me do this right now, but you know that you have to, or you either lose or you're not going with the rest of the boat? Tell me about one of those races or one of those finishes that you vividly remember having to like sprint early, or
maybe not a sprint early, but one finish that I think I'll always remember was my novice year at Coast. We'll continue this story after the Varsity 8 race in our post-race coverage.
We're starting alignment for the final race of the day, the men's Varsity 8, the James C. Jorgensen Cup. Lane assignments: lane 1, UCI; lane 2, UCSB; lane 3, Orange Coast College; lane 4, University of San Diego; Lane 5, UCLA. In lane 6, USC. Lane 7, San Diego State. And we have a start. As is the case in all starts, it's controlled abandon. These boats are fast. We're having a hard time keeping up. Right now, anybody's race between Orange Coast College, University of San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine. Off the pace just a little bit is USC and San Diego State. Bruins are right in there as well. Orange Coast College is your race leader by 4 seats. Second position in lane 4, University of San Diego. Third position, UC Santa Barbara. Fourth, UC Irvine. Fifth, UCLA. Then it's San Diego State, and SC is in that 7th spot. Wow, what a sight. Coming up to the 500-meter mark, Orange Coast College now with 6 seats over both University of San Diego and UC Santa Barbara. Irvine is 4 seats down in that 4th position. Then it's the Bruins. Bruins now taking a 10, challenging for that 4th spot. Orange Coast sits 6 seats up on the University of San Diego. University of San Diego making a bold move, trying to close that gap, put the pressure on the Pirates, see if you can make them crack. But it's Orange Coast College leading race number 3, rowing the Joseph M. Thomas yellow Impacker. University of San Diego, University of California, Santa Barbara just duking it out. Santa Barbara now is in that 2nd spot. 7:50 gone. It's Orange Coast College with 6 seats over the 2nd place Santa Barbara crew. University of San Diego is falling off the pace a little bit. 3rd spot is UC Irvine, then UCLA, San Diego State, and SC Trails. Halfway down, Santa Barbara, much like they did in the Varsity 4, starting to mount the move, trying to get back into the race. Big move here, big finishes. They're now 4 seats down. So Orange Coast, your race leader as we come to the boathouse. Santa Barbara really putting the legs down. Orange Coast countering now. Orange Coast is countering and holding off that burst from Santa Barbara. University of San Diego is in that 3rd spot. Then it's Irvine, UCLA, San Diego State, and USC Trails. Here we are in front of the boathouse. This is where we separate crews. Who's going to be able to show the muscle, show the maturity as we go down to the last 750. Boy, the Santa Barbara Paxton's really going to the rip here. Close the distance now to 3 seats. Orange Coast still leading, but Santa Barbara is really making a move. Coast is countering. This is a great boat race. Santa Barbara now just 2 seats down. Orange Coast College as we approach 500 meters to go. University of San Diego still owns that 3rd position. Irvine and UCLA battling for 4th. San Diego State and SC Trails. Coming up to the 1,500-meter mark, and the crews are level, even. Santa Barbara now really starting to surge. Santa Barbara now with a 1-seat advantage. Coast trying to hold off, trying to stay in this race. Santa Barbara's very strong in this headwind. Santa Barbara now with a 3-seat advantage. This sprint is going to tell the story. I can hear the Santa Barbara coxswain. I want more. And he's getting it. They're now 5 seats up, 6 seats up. Orange Coast has open water over the second or third place crew, the University of San Diego, who has a boat length over UCLA. UCLA is in that 4th spot. Then it's San Diego State. SC is well astern 7.
How was it?
Coming down to the finish now. Orange Coast taking
feel like that.
60 feet.
You don't look like that, so that's good.
Santa Barbara. Orange Coast, 9 Santa Barbara. Counter-attack. Oh my goodness, Santa Barbara's strong. Very polished. The flag is up at the finish line. And coming across first will be UC Santa Barbara. Real quick, I'll be crossing line now. Orange Coast College. Followed by University of San Diego. UCLA. San Diego State. And in the final position is USC.
I don't have a mic. I don't have a mic. Why did...
Everyone's talking about it. So we have a tie. A tie.
God, that sucks. So, like, split the tanks?
Thank you, James C. Jordan.
I don't know, we lost, but overall.
I hope you'll stick around for the awards ceremony. There's
That's me.
still some food.
Can you hold this really quick?
For sure.
And the backpack.
Very impressive race from UC Santa Barbara in the Varsity 8. Very successful day for their varsity program. What do you think of that race, Whitney?
Well, it's always really exciting to watch the V8s. It's really one of those races where anything could happen, and the other crews just got edged out by UCSB today. They just had a better day, so it'll be really exciting to kind of hear what they have to say about how they caught coast in those last 500 meters or so, because that's always really exciting, like we were just talking about.
And as Jim pointed out in the race commentary, a very polished-looking crew, very powerful crew. Testament to their coaching there. They've become a powerhouse recently. They put out excellent crews every year. I look forward to watching the remainder of their results throughout the year. To continue the story before we cut to the Varsity 8, and speaking of finishes, one that I'll never forget, my novice year here at Coast, racing at WIRA, which is the Western Intercollegiate Rowing Association Championships. It is roughly the equivalent of the conference championship for the West Coast schools. We were in the grand final, and we were racing, our big competition that year was Gonzaga. And they had come here to Newport Harbor and beaten us early in the year. We'd been training all year trying to take them back, and we managed to get about a 4-seat advantage on them by the 1,000-meter mark, and we sat there. Both crews were taking moves. Both crews were pushing toward the finish, but there was no change in the race position for over 500 meters. And then we got into the last 500. And as we moved there, we were in lane 1, they were in lane 2, so they're very close to us. And their coxswain called for a move. They were taking their chance, trying to get back into us and take the victory that day. And they moved about a seat, and our coxswain was watching them. She had her head turned to the right, and she picked her moment. And she simply told us to stop them. And in 2 strokes, their momentum was stopped. And in another few strokes, we had our 4-seat advantage back. And while we hadn't even cranked the rate up yet, there was still a lot of work to do in that race. I think it was that moment that our boat knew we had the race won. We'd taken the shot there, we'd countered, and I don't think at that point we would have let anything come between us and the win for that. It becomes an even better story for me. You and I both went back to Penn AC to row during the summer, and as it happened, several of the members of that Gonzaga crew were also there rowing. And while it's always little, you never really know how that will go. Met them, rowed with them. They've become some of my, certainly my best friends at Penn AC and some of my best friends in rowing. And they came back and were able to win the Varsity 8 event their senior year at Weira. But that was just a neat experience to have that race, have that finish I won't forget, and then to meet the people that were a part of it and become friends with them as well.
And it's really interesting that you say that, because you, of course, want to be rowing well. There's so much, I guess, what you call technique that goes into rowing. And it really takes 8 people to be putting that blade in at the same time and getting that boat through the water. But it sounds like what you're talking about is a little bit more heart, which is really interesting. You can see 6 crews lined up that are going down a 2K course that are rowing beautifully, and somebody still wins. So what is it about that crew on that day that really takes the win? Is it truly who wants it more?
It certainly can be. Who wants it more on the day, that can be the difference maker if there really are 2 crews that are identical in speed. I think it comes more from the maturity that we were speaking about earlier. You may be able to put 8 identical erg scores, same weight of the oarsmen, same technique, but the crew that they treat it with more maturity. They come down, they've done the work every day during practice, and they know everybody is there. They know that every stroke they take, there's 7 other people taking it with them. They know when their coxswain tells them they need to do something, they need to do it, and it can come down to that.
And what do you think about Coast? I mean, you come out here to these races, and every single one of them, you see the iconic yellow boats, the Empakers, very famous on coast waters here. And you are talking about heart, and what do you think it means to be from a program like Coast that has such a legacy, that has iconic boats, that has a reputation to uphold, and the most phenomenal alumni and stories from 50 years ago, and these rowers that come back and talk about how important this program is to them. And it's so interesting to hear that from a 2-year program. What is it about Coast that kind of makes you want to come out here and defend your water?
I think it is the environment that's fostered. And while it certainly helps the alumni support, you have all these people, and that the stories are consistent. As you go through, everybody talks about how the support is there. The guys show up, they work hard together. They have kind of a winning mentality, if you will, that's fostered here, and it's you come to Coast. Working hard is the excuse me, the ante. It's the buy-in. Anything beyond that is where you can start to make your mark. But you come here, you work hard, you develop both as an oarsman and as a young man or woman. I know I certainly wasn't the same when I left Coast as when I got here. And it's an environment of growth. And when you're growing not just on the water, you're not just pushing for a better erg score. You're, as you grow through the program, you really bond kind of with the people you grow with, and you want to go work hard with them. You want to just put everything in, and you want to be at the point where you take that last stroke and win, lose, draw, you want to know that that was the extent of that crew's capabilities for that day.
Yeah, and I think that's really true. And kind of adding on to the legacy, I think it really takes those coaches and those former rowers that have been here in the past to really establish that kind of culture and create that expectation, not to row for the coach, but to row for the team and the other guys. And I think, very legendary and incredible and admirable coaches like Dave Grant and Larry Moore really did a phenomenal job of creating that legacy and that desire for every oarsman that comes in, experienced or not, to want to put in that kind of work. So we can go out and race UCSB and Long Beach and these other crews that are 4 years, and they're phenomenal. So it's really, really exciting to see these other 4 years come out. And I mean, these are where the coast oarsmen are going. They're going off there in 2 years. So it's kind of getting a little taste of what the team is going to be like that they will be rowing on. So it's kind of cool. You get to race your future teammates. So it's kind of a neat way to kind of go through the rowing program.
Absolutely. And we'll be right back. We're going to take just a couple-minute break here.
Test one. Test 1, 2, test.
very exciting day of racing. Looking forward to the coast schedule for the rest of the year. The next time they'll be on the water racing will be a duel against UCLA. That will be up in Marina del Rey. They race along Bologna Creek there. Plenty of places to spectate there. You can get a good view of the course, get right up close and personal. I highly recommend going out to Marina del Rey for the racing if you can. That will follow. The next race will be after that will be San Diego Crew Classic. I should mention that the UCLA duel will be Saturday, March 26th, so in 2 weeks. And then in 3 weeks, we'll have the San Diego Crew Classic. That is a big 2-day regatta down in San Diego on Mission Bay. That will be a championship regatta, so unlike the floating starts that you saw this morning that were very difficult to align, there will be stake boats. As Jim mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the boats will back into there. We'll get everything exactly aligned, and then they'll take off down there. Plenty of viewing, vendors, lots of crews, lots of people. It's a great event to attend if you'd like to come out and support the crew there. Following the next weekend on March 9th will be the Collins Cup here again at Newport Harbor. And then the crew will travel to Redwood Shores for the Stanford Invitational on April 16th. My apologies, I should have said April 9th for the Collins Cup. I believe I said March 9th. The Stanford Invite, for anybody who's up north, is a lot of fun to go watch. It's a little harrowing for the oarsmen as you race there. You have a 2,000-meter race on a course that feels like it's only 2,010 meters long. Almost immediately after crossing the finish line at that race, the entire crew has to hold water or risk running their shell into rocks. So beyond the racing excitement, you get a little bit of additional excitement as you watch the crews barrel toward the barrier and have to stop themselves. And then on April 30th will be the WIRA Western Intercollegiate Rowing Championships. That will be up at Lake Natoma in Sacramento. Another great race to attend if you can make it out. A lot of college crews there, very high-level racing, and it's what most of these crews build all year for. They'll go up there. It is their championship regatta. You're racing for a banner there. You've seen most of the crews there at least once earlier in the season, so you get to see what kind of progress you've made and whether or not you can reel anybody who has crossed line ahead of you earlier in the year back in, or if you can put a little bit more distance on anybody you've been fortunate enough to beat earlier in the season. Now, should any crews be able to make the trip, it is possible that they will also head back to Gainesville, Georgia for the ACRA National Championships, the American Collegiate Rowing Association Championships. What that is the National Championship Regatta for club programs, collegiate club programs. There are two different designations, varsity programs and club programs. Varsity programs contest the IRA Regatta, and that is the national championship where you'll see crews like Cal, Washington, the Ivy League schools contesting the title. And ACRA, you'll see the club crews. So in addition to some of the crews you saw here, including UC Santa Barbara and Coast, you'll also see crews such as Michigan, Grand Valley State there. Those are some of the traditional powerhouses, as well as schools like Virginia. The rowing channel will be handling the broadcasting for both the WIRA championships and ACRAs. The ACRA production in particular is very impressive and worth checking into, and you can find those broadcasts at the same website you have here. In addition to the live broadcasts, these broadcasts will also be posted for viewing later. We have about 10 minutes until the awards start. Again, crews launching out of 4 different areas this morning: UCI, NAC, the Coast Boathouse, and Chapman. So for those who launched out of UCI or NAC, it gives them some time to get back, get their boats put away, and then come back here for the trophy acceptance speech if they have been fortunate enough to win one of the events. So we'll expect the Santa Barbara team back in force for the varsity events. The Coast Novices, very successful day. And in about 10 minutes, we'll take you down for the trophy presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 51st Annual Newport Regatta, hosted by Orange Coast College. Before we get started with the Cup Trophy presenters, how about a big round of applause to the coaching staff and volunteers at Orange Coast College for putting together such a fine event. Thank you to head coach Cam Brown and the rest of the crew. At this time, we will announce our various Cup winners. First off, the Frank Marcellus Cup for the Novice Fours with a winning time of 7 minutes, 11.2 seconds. Congratulations to the Orange Coast College Pirates. Will members of the Pirates please come up and claim the trophy? Not all at once. Once again, congratulations to the Pirates of Orange Coast College for the Frank Marcellus Cup. Up next, the Norman E. Watson Cup to represent the second Novice 8 with a winning time of 6 minutes, 39.35 seconds. The Pirates of Orange Coast College. Congratulations, Orange Coast College. Up next is the Larry M. Moore Cup, representing the Novice 8 race, with a winning time of 6 minutes, 34.4 seconds. The Orange Coast College Pirates. Job well done, Orange Coast College, for the Larry M. Moore Cup. Our next award is the Robert B. Moore Cup to represent the second Varsity 8 race with a winning time of 6 minutes, 22 seconds. The UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. Congratulations, UC Santa Barbara. For the Condon Johnson Cup, representing the Varsity 4 race with a winning time of 7 minutes, 7.9 seconds, the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. Quick and easy. Well done. And for the James C. Jorgensen Varsity 8 Cup with a winning time of 6 minutes, 7.4 seconds, the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. Congratulations, Gauchos, on the Varsity 8 win. Last but not least, our final cup is the PA Palmer Cup, which represents total points for everybody. Our final results: in 8th place, UC Irvine; 7th place, USC; 6th place, Long Beach State; in 5th place, UCLA; 4th place, University of San Diego; in 3rd place with 11 points, San Diego State University. 1st and 2nd place were a tie as far as points go, with 26 points between Orange Coast College and UC Santa Barbara. By virtue of a tie, the tie-breaking rule is the winner of the Varsity 8 race. So this year's 2016 PA Palmer Cup champion, the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos.
Smile! 1, 2, 3, cheese! Go.
Congratulations to UC Santa Barbara on the PA Palmer Cup trophy. Once again, on behalf of everyone at Orange Coast College, thank you for your participation in our cup today. We hope to see you out at future crew events. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a safe drive home. Thank you.
Echoing those sentiments, thank you very much, everybody who joined us on the broadcast. Big thank you to the coaches here at Coast who are very accommodating and helping us set this up. Huge thank you to our volunteers who were handling the cameras on the course for us, Dave and Steve. Danielle on the mobile camera. And thank you for joining us at the 2016 Newport Regatta. Post it? Oh, yeah. Hey. Hi, hope everything was good. Okay. Yeah, good. Perfect. Especially at the awards. Yeah, it was fine.
Well, it was fun.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
I didn't even know I had a mic.
No, that's fine. That's great. It's tough to use, but I got crowd noise with it as the boats went by, and then when they were all down there taking the team picture, I clicked over it to it just as they went 1, 2, 3, cheese.
That's perfect.
Hey. All right.
Yeah, I guess I realized I should have had sound if I was doing the whole Go Coast thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it a couple times. So.
Yeah. I'm glad it all turned out.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to help.
I really will set this down.
Yeah, that was my thing when you were like, you can put everything down. I was like, where?
Here. That'll work.
Well, thank you and have a good day.
It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you too. Are you taking off? I think so, or at least just try to find your dental. Yeah.
touch and enjoy the rest of your race day. Thanks, you too. All right, see ya.
Oh yeah, it's lying down.
Are we still live? No. Job well done.